Hold on a second, I'm gonna learn you something. All right. I just seen a video of a guy on one of the social media platforms had a John Deere chainsaw, and he was trying to diagnose this thing on the video, and he was failing miserably at it. And a lot of people go through this process. You have to learn your diagnostic process and be good at it for years before you need to start teaching people these things. Anyway, I'm working on a weed eater, and I want to show you my process. Okay, it's a Husqvarna weed eater. It come in, the guy literally said, hey, great, it runs great. It just needs a service. Well, I don't care if it comes in needing a service, not running, if the head needs to be replaced or whatever. The very first thing I do is dump that gas tank. I'll dump it and put known good gas in it, because if you got a little water in it, if the gas is old, stale, rotten, whatever, you know when you put fresh gas in it and you hit that primer bulb, circulate it through, that it's going to be good to go gas-wise. You don't have to worry about it. Next thing I do, before if it's coming in for service, I'll throw a spark plug in it. And I want to make sure that it's got good gas and good spark, and then I can go start the diagnostic process. Doesn't need fuel lines, doesn't need a carburetor, doesn't need this, that, and the other. Because if you don't have good spark and good fuel, forget about it. All right. First, like I said, this guy says it runs just fine. I dumped the gas out of it first thing before I chalked it up in the vise. And what fell out of the tank? The fuel filter. All right. It may run just fine, but it ain't going to stay that way. We're talking about, if that fuel line floats up because this isn't weighting it down, or if it sucks up a bunch of crap into the carburetor that, and it'll clog the carburetor, and then you're going to have problems with it. These are the things you have to look for. You have to make sure it's got good spark, it's got good fuel, and by having good fuel, you have to have a fuel filter, and it's got to have good fuel lines. So part of this service, we're going to toss some fuel lines on it. Now, he says it runs great, so we probably won't have to go through the carburetor, but we'll slap some fuel lines in this and put a new fuel filter on there, and it should be good to go. Give me a second, and I'll bring you back. Okay, when it comes to these fuel lines, cut it at a diagonal like that, a pretty steep diagonal. I use these little razor blades here, and then split it about 1/2 inch so it can, let me use my hands here, so instead of it being like this, it can roll in on itself when it goes through the hole in the tank, and it makes pulling it through so much easier. You can just reach in there with a pair of needle nose and pull it right through. And I'll do, I've got a pretty long piece of hose here. And what I'll do is I'll split it like that on both sides. I'll cut it at a diagonal and split it, and then I'll run it through there, get both sides in, and then cut it to length on this end, and then put the rest of my fuel line back in the drawer. Okay, I always run my suction side in first. That way I can pull it out here with plenty of slack to put my filter on. And then I'll tuck it in there, and I'll get it to laying right. I may have to pull some back out to get it to laying right and perfect in the bottom. And then I'll stick this side in, because this side has only, you can see in the, well, if I can hold on to it, you can see in the sunlight there where it is split up to. You see it right there? It's like right here. You want to cut that off so you don't have a fuel leak, but you want to pull it through to that point, and it's only got to stick through there about that far. So let me get this thing, I got to get a little pick, and I'll straighten that to where the hose lays right, because you want this filter laying like right here, and you want your hose to come through there and circle down, and that way if you jostle it around, holding it upside down or whatever, it's gonna fall to the top, fall to the bottom, and have a nice sweep instead of it being all balled up inside with hose. All right, see, I've got the fuel lines on there. You want to make sure there's no kinks. You want to make sure they're good and straight. See if I can get this camera down in this hole here. See the line on the right is the return line. You can see the pickup line is swooped down in the bottom with a new filter on it. Okay, now we'll put this thing back together, put the air box back on it, put some fresh fuel in it, prime it up, see where we're at. All right, so got a new air filter put in, and got some fresh gas in it. Hadn't even changed the spark plug yet. Let's see how it runs. I already primed it up. Oh, makes you run out of fuel. Let's sit you down over here. All right, let's try that again. You want to make sure the head stops spinning, just like that. You want to make sure it comes off idle quick and gets the full throttle. Done. That one was pretty easy.